Welcome back to Goal Setting 101, page 2. We're going to be continuing on, but before we do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about what changes, because goal setting is really about supporting changes in your life. And something that we recently talked about in our weekend where we reviewed the transfiguration from the Bible, we talked about how Jesus, when he takes his disciples up to see this reveal of the kingdom of heaven, Jesus transforms. His face changes a little bit. His garments become bright and shining and white, and he's kind of immersed in this glow. And it isn't so much a transformation as in he's going from something that he is to something he wasn't before. Rather, he is revealing. There's a revelation of his true identity in that moment. In a lot of respects, that's what our change is too. Except that ours isn't happening in one moment. When we're born as children and we grow up, and our potential for adulthood is embraced over time. And similar with your goals, you have a potential to change, and you can do that over the course of time. You're actually stepping into a new role, but it's a role you've always had the potential for. Now, this kind of idea has always gone through a lot of media and shows and TV, this idea of transformation. Now, when I was a kid, there was a show called Pokemon. You have these little critters here. You can see one on this Pokemon card. And these critters, over time and over practice, would be able to transform, kind of like this. And as you can see, it has now changed its shape. Now, the cool thing about that show was these transformations would take in a particular moment. The creatures would glow, and all of a sudden they'd transform into this new creature, similar to kind of the Jesus transformation, the transfiguration, oddly enough. But for us, we are not cartoon creatures. We're not Christ. We're not going to have one moment that defines our transition. It takes time, practice, and dedication. We have a long road to go, and we're not going to be able to have that inner glimpse beforehand of what we're going to look like at the end of time. So one of the challenges we can do, or one of the gifts we can add to this challenge, is goal setting. And then with that, we have to envision what we're going to come. We're going to have to use our imaginations of what we want to transform ourselves into to accomplish our goals. So on page 2, it's this is the first step to this program, which is naming a goal. And there are 3 questions you can ask yourself when first trying to understand your goal and how you could approach them. Now, on page 2, there's only 2 questions, and these are foundational to the 3rd question. So we're going to work on the first 2 questions with this video, and then you're going to deal with the 3rd question in video 3. So, question number 1, what is your main goal you wish to achieve? Now, this sounds like a simple question, but it's a little bit more complicated than you may assume. Now, keep in mind that you may actually have multiple goals. So, or one goal that has multiple elements to it. So, for example, I'll draw a little image in my booklet here. So, as you know, each of you will have one of these booklets. So, I'll draw one in here. So, let's say you want to become healthier. And that could be your overall large goal. But under that, you may want to have a better diet, and you may want to exercise. So those goals would almost be subcategories. Now that's kind of backwards to you, but you get the idea. So you can link those together. And for the purposes of this course, as you're first learning these skills, even though you may have this general ambition to be healthier overall, you may want to focus on just one or the other. And I make that suggestion on page 2. You may want to limit it to one goal while you're learning the ropes. That doesn't mean you can't try to take on multiple goals at once. But if this goal setting concept is new to you, use this Lenten time to kind of get an understanding of how to utilize these skills, and you can apply it to a broader spectrum. Now, sometimes you don't have a choice. If you're trying to do a general change in your life, you want to, let's say you want to have a brighter outlook, or you want to be more happy, then you're going to target a bunch of little elements of your life. So you may have a bunch of subsections, but if you can narrow the scope a little bit on what you're going to be focusing on, try to do that. And so in that first section of question 1, right under here, you can write in a little bit of an answer. Now, the example I gave is I want to become physically fit for beach weather. Now, let's say that was your example. You have a little bit of extra work, more so than just defining what that is, because what does it mean to be physically fit? Are you looking for big bulky muscles? Do you want to be like a supermodel? Are you wanting just to be lose a few pounds? What's your definition of physically fit? And do you know if it's a healthy definition or not? Also, what does it mean for be physically fit for beach weather? Are you looking to be able to wear a bathing suit in the summer and feel comfortable with it? Do you just want to be able to be in a t-shirt and shorts and feel comfortable with that? What are your definitions and what do they mean to you? Having a clear understanding of that is very important. One, because you may be able to flush out some of your insecurities or concerns or anxieties around your goal. If you're trying to do physical fitness, for example, a lot of people have self-esteem issues when it comes to their body, their physical appearance. And you got to be honest about that. You have to write that down. And there'll be more about this a little bit later on, but you have to voice those concerns. So kind of flush out those ideas a little bit in that first question. And when you're finished that, you can move on to question 2. Question 2 asks, what sort of resources do you need to achieve your goal? Or if you do not know the resources, is there an expert or professional you could speak to about your goal? Now, this is very important. So there are 2 resources that everybody needs to accomplish any goal. And those first 2 are time and energy. So if you spend a lot of time watching TV and just sitting on the couch and you want to become more physically fit, you are going to have to sacrifice some of that time around your TV to approach your new goal. If you're unwilling to do that, if you're unwilling to shift your time or get rid of other things that could be deemed as unnecessary, then you're not going to accomplish your goal. Similarly, let's say if you're trying to adapt in a more positive outlook on life, try to be more happy, then at the same time you have to be willing to sacrifice your contentment with being maybe depressed or sad or kind of dwelling on negative thoughts. And I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not saying it's really easy just to abandon those things. I'm not. They can be quite a challenge. But you have to have a willingness to remove the things that you no longer want to spend your time on and give that time, give that energy to your new goals. And then there's also resources that are more pragmatic. Sometimes, let's say you want to be physically fit, you may need fitness shoes. You may never owned a pair of running shoes, or you may need some track clothing, or maybe you need to get some resources like literature on exercises. Go to the discount store, or go to the library and see what they have on physical fitness. Maybe there's some exercise videos or something you would like to get a hold of. You could also, if you're doing something like physically fit, but it can apply to anything really, like I said, you may need a professional. So for physical fitness, that example, you would probably go see your doctor, get your blood pressure taken, basically get a physical done, and what's healthy for me to do at your age or with your body condition or whatever situations you have. Consult a medical doctor. If you're looking to change your outlook on life, you may want to go see a counselor or a psychologist. If you're looking to develop your spiritual life, you may want to go talk to your minister or a priest or a spiritual care worker. There's going to always be a professional out there to address every issue. And it is wise to go seek a professional if you're looking to make a major change. And here's the reason why. Let's say you confide in someone you know that you're trying to make this change and you want them to be a person and a resource to support you. Well, people who care about you will generally try to protect you from bad truths. So if you're wanting to get physically fit, but you've been overweight, you've been inactive for many years, and you go tell your best friend, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this by taking hot yoga, or hot yoga is like you're in a steam room that's really hot and you do all this intensive yoga. If that's actually really bad for your health. But a friend might say, oh yeah, that's a great idea, because they're trying to be supportive. A doctor might say, well, maybe that's not the best exercise for you to do. They'll say it because they're not going to be afraid about hurting your feelings. They're going to make sure they're taking care of your health. And same thing with a spiritual support worker. You know, if you say you go to a friend and say, I'm trying to develop my spirituality, you don't know what kind of spiritual background or ignorance. They could have education in it, but they may also have ignorance, and they may direct you into some authorships or some reading, something that may be detrimental to your spiritual growth. But if you go to a professional who's been trained, has some education, they can direct you in a more beneficial pathway. So it's always good to have a professional. Also, the professional provides you with a certain level of accountability without them being personally invested in you. And this will come up again later on with video 5 for Goal Setting 101. But yeah, so start thinking about your resources, both time, energy, the people you may need to have around, and all the equipment you could need for your goal. So take some time, and you can go back and forth a little bit between these two. So what is your goal? Well, if you want to be physically fit for beach weather, you may be wanting to swim. So that could be a part of that goal identity, and as a part of that, you may need some swim trunks, right? So you could write down, well, I need swim trunks, or I maybe need swimming lessons because I've never done that. So you're gonna start going back and forth between 1 and 2. Do as much for those two as you possibly can, and then I will check back with you for video 3.